In this video, we're going to do two examples on how to use Excel to find the standard deviation, variance, and a z-score. So the first example, we're using the data set from here. So those are the new employees in the random sample from various team were given a survey asking them how much time in minutes they spent in training their first month. And then here are the responses. And then the first question is we want to use Excel to determine the sample standard deviation. And after that, we want to use Excel to determine the sample variance. So here we do need to be careful that we are talking about sample because there are different formulas for the sample standard deviation and population standard deviation. From the context, the storyline, we know that we are collecting a sample of 30 responses. So we know from two places, the data we're going to use is a sample data. So just for the time consuming, so I already input all the data into Excel. Okay, so we want to find the standard deviation, and in particularly the sample standard deviation. So to find the sample standard deviation, we are actually going to use the function built in the standard in Excel. So the sample standard deviation is called STDEV. You can see on the drop-down menus, one is .p, one is .s. .p stands for the population standard deviation. .s is stand for the sample standard deviation. So we're going to using the sample one. So every single problem, you do need to make sure do you have the sample or you have the entire population. And then we're going to selecting all the data we have. And then we got the sample standard deviation 27.75594. And then I believe, let's double check. The instruction says round your answer to 2 decimal places. So we're going to round it. In Excel, we also have a really nice tool to round it by using the decimal going or increasing the decimals or decreasing the decimals. So we want to decrease the decimal from currently 5 decimal to 2. So we're going to just click it and it will automatically round it to have 2 decimal places. Okay. So the second one we want to know is the sample variance. So sample variance, we can also use the built-in function. It's called a VAR. We also have two, the population one or the sample one. So again, we're talking about the sample, so it's .s. And then highlighting the entire data set, we got 770.392. It's also want to round the answer to 2 decimal places, so we're going to round it to 2 decimal places. Okay, so something else I want to show you here. I'm going to use in different color. So if I want to do the square root, so the formula for square root is SQRT of the variance, I will get, if I round it, I will get the standard deviation back. On the other hand, if I square, the symbol for squaring is the pointing one, square the sample standard deviation, and just make it shorter by rounding it, I will have the sample variance back. So variance is a square of the standard deviation, and standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So that's the relation between standard deviation and variance.